Hi. Zeppo said it's my turn to introduce a short. I don't want to introduce a short. He told me I had to introduce a short. So, the next short of our evening is called Death to Weed. Very funny, Kevin. Our next short of the evening is called Death to Weed. Stop it, Kevin. Our next short of the evening is called Death to... Calm. Centered. Our next short of the evening is called Death to... Don't you dare. Come here, you! I'm gonna finish. Our next short of the evening is called Death to Weeds. And was this a note for me? Let's see. Ball drop.
Do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do.
It's a little late for that. It's already been canceled.
People these days, they'll sue anything. People is trying to weeds on nature's Maybe if you stopped persecuting them, they wouldn't need to. No, they don't. You're just looking for someone to blame. No, weeds actually do that. Oh. Weeds on the range.
Weeds are our common enemy.
To war!
Plaguing the homeowner, ruining golf courses and our tempers, cursing us with hay fever.
It's nice to see Fred Ott still
By
working.
millions of man-hours for railroads and highway maintenance departments.
Farm Simulator 47.
But worst of all is their never-ending warfare against the American farmer. It is officially estimated that farm losses caused by weeds
It's the Glum
are
Reaper.
approximately $3 billion annually, second only to the loss from soil erosion. Though the enemy is powerful, the fight is no longer one-sided.
Junior, stop watering the weeds!
For here at the Dow Chemical Company in Midland, Michigan, revolutionary chemical killers are being produced to help rid us of these costly pests.
How about that?
For years, Dow research technicians, leaders in agricultural chemical developments, have experimented with organic herbicides to control weeds or kill them outright, to kill them inexpensively without harm to the crops they infest.
To
or
kill
to
them
the
until
soil.
they are dead.
Thousands of tests in field and laboratory have resulted in the development of 4 major weed killers.
He's making
Dow
Dacron.
Selective Weed Killer, Dow Contact Weed Killer,
Contact.
2,4-Dow Weed Killers, and Esteron 44.
Weed killer.
Dow Selective Weed Killer has proved highly effective for the chemical weeding of flax,
Same to you.
peas, and grain. The water-soluble spray destroys weeds without causing permanent damage to the crops. Where mechanical mowing is difficult and all vegetation must be kept in check, Dow Contact Weed Killer is useful, such as for fence rows, orchards, roadsides, vacant lots.
It's Gerald Field.
Dow Contact Weed Killer kills all top growth to the ground. It does not kill roots.
Then what
or
good is
sterilize
it?
the soil, and so provides vegetation control without inviting erosion. It is better non-grasses once and for all with 2,4-Dow, and then use Dow contact to keep the grasses under control. One of the newest and most versatile weapons in Dow's arsenal of chemical warfare is 2,4-Dow weed killer, proved in action against hundreds of weeds in a wide variety of crops. 2,4-D kills the entire weed, roots and all. Its victims include most broad-leaved annual weeds as well as perennials.
And the odd horseshoe
Even
crab.
perennials with deep root systems may be eradicated by repeated applications. Most grasses are not harmed when it's properly applied, nor is the soil poisoned. This time-lapse photography shows in a few moments the gradual killing of a common weed over a 15-day period after spraying with 2,4-D weed killer. 2,4-D is a growth regulator type of weed killer.
It's a raisin bran
is
plant.
Physiological, appearing to upset the plant's growth processes, causing modification and breakdown of its parts, and causing gradual but certain death.
I'm sad now.
Dow set out to demonstrate the effectiveness of its chemical killers on a nationwide scale, on many kinds of weeds, under varying climatic conditions.
In all 6 states.
The rich Red River Valley region of North Dakota afforded an ideal proving ground. In this area, farms cover thousands of acres.
Land
And
hogs.
weed control is a tremendous job. In the past, this meant fallowing the land or reduced yield because of weed competition.
He's a nice fallow.
But today, modern chemical methods provide the answer. A plane dusts a field of young wheat with 2,4-D.
I'm not a crop duster,
quickly
my engine's on
and
fire!
inexpensively.
Ah!
Less spectacular, but equally efficient, is the down-to-earth method. The 2,4-Dow dust, ready mixed
Excuse
and
me.
free-flowing, is poured into the hopper. The canvas floating behind the boom duster helps confine the powder to give better coverage and better weed kill.
And then you just go and drive all over the
Early
plants.
morning dusting when the air is calm gives good results. 2,4-D is also provided for liquid spraying.
Couldn't that have been
Spray
the
pressure
close-up?
can be low, just enough to give uniform coverage. This work can be done satisfactorily without the help of the dog.
But it makes him feel useful.
The plot at the left is shown 10 days after treatment. That at the right was untreated.
A victim of farmer favoritism.
Treatment stopped the growth of the weeds. The breakdown of weeds is gradual. In 2 to 4 weeks, the destruction of many weeds is complete.
I've been sick.
Left to itself, mustard can choke the life out of a growing wheat crop.
So plant ketchup
These
instead.
pictures, taken a month after treatment, give dramatic proof of 2,4-D's ability to control this weed. Note the sharp dividing lines between treated and untreated test areas.
There's a dividing line? I don't see it.
The wheat plant at right is from a treated area. The smaller one at left from an untreated one. Annual wild buckwheat, shown here, weighs down grain
With
by
its childish
twining growth.
antics.
It often causes considerable loss in yield and makes harvesting difficult. Here is an unsprayed plant.
It tickles.
Treatment with a special 2,4-D dust results in stunted plants like these. Stunting of weed growth is often as effective as outright killing.
Mama, the Batman's touching
This is sow thistle, growing in wheat. A young plant and one about ready to bloom. In this plant, the growing point is killed after treatment with 2,4-D.
Killed until it was
This field of healthy wheat shows what can be accomplished through the proper application of 2,4-Dow weed killer.
Wheat, nature's shag carpet.
Dow Selective Weed Killer has proven very effective for selective spraying of pea fields. Spraying should be done on bright, warm days when the foliage is dry.
Which isn't often.
It's best to avoid spraying when excessively hot or immediately after a prolonged rainy or cloudy period. The peas at the left of the scene have been treated and are almost free of weeds. Weeds are flourishing in the adjoining strip.
Robert Picardo and Sons, Pea Farm.
This flax field had been summer fallowed, but it didn't prevent a heavy growth of mustard from ruining the crop.
So they harvested the mustard instead.
Dow Selective is also used to selectively weed flax.
That was my coffee!
Dow Selective should be applied to flax and other crops as a coarse, low-pressure spray using fan-type weed nozzles. After treatment with Dow Selective, the flax is virtually free of weeds.
It's also virtually free of
leaves
flax.
of flax may be burned slightly after treatment, but the crop is not permanently or seriously damaged. In California, killing weeds in the water-covered rice paddies had always been the toughest production problem.
Watch out for the
and
knick-knack
arrowhead
assassin.
lily, one of the most troublesome weed pests. Again, aviation and agricultural chemistry supply the answer. The plane is loaded with 2,4-Dow solution.
Look out, Big Bird!
In the past, there was no practical way of fighting weeds after the rice had been seeded. The long growing period required by rice enabled weeds to mature and seed before harvesting time. But 12 days after spraying with 2,4-D,
My true
the
love
effect
gave
on
to
the weeds
me.
is easy to see. Area at the right has not been treated. Compare this healthy, unsprayed water plantain with this beat-up specimen after a bout with 2,4-D.
Oh, I had money on him.
There are other weeds that like to live with rice, such as kelp, tule, and curly dock. And 2,4-D takes care of them, again without injury to the rice. Here's a sample of how tule feels sometime after a thorough
Ouch.
spraying. And here's sprayed kelp.
Help me!
Tests were also made in California sorghum fields. This milo was infested with pigweed,
Oink,
but the area on
oink.
the right has been treated and the weeds are under control. Compare the lamb's quarters on the right from this treated milo field with a healthy, unsprayed specimen on the left.
Coleman Francis, Milo
Free of
farmer.
weeds 30 days after spraying with 2,4-Dow weed killer.
They shot Texas!
In Texas, where everything is on a grand scale, even
It's
the
all right
weed
if I pick a
problem
little
is
fight with
prodigious.
weeds.
Ranchers and farmers fight a never-ending battle against the plant pests crowding in on their rangelands and cultivated acres. They fight against mesquite,
Ah!
that spreads
Tell
over
my wife
millions
and
of
saplings
acres,
I love them.
against the impenetrable encroachments of wild rose, and the creeping menace of bindweed.
Starring Dick Miller.
Promise of help through chemistry aroused much interest in the Dow experiments conducted in this region.
Our interest is much aroused.
2,4-D was used in the experiments on mesquite.
It's a Missouri
Once
pop!
again, 2,4-D proved to be the answer. Compare the untreated mesquite on the right with the treated plants to the left. The healthy plant here was protected from the spray.
The weed who lived.
Testosterone 44 does the best job on woody plants. A few new suckers may develop after the first treatment, and they should be sprayed again. Wild rose
Ba-dum-ding,
is beautiful
ding,
to
ding.
the eye.
You fill
But
my
Texans regard it
meadows.
as a major
Ba-ding,
pest.
ding, ding, ding.
One method of control is to rip it up with chains, but the roots remain in the ground to send up a new growth the following year. Chemical spraying
It's the Dow
points the
Company
way
Death
toward a more
Parade.
permanent control of this hardy, fast-spreading nuisance. 2,4-D kills roots and all. Several weeks after spraying, the dead, dried-out plants are ready for burning.
It burns.
And, fortunately, a 2,4-D sprayed range is not injurious to livestock grazing in treated areas.
Moo, plop, moo, plop, moo, plop.
The tops of wild morning glory, or bindweed, are highly sensitive to 2,4-D.
They find a way to
and a
turn
large
weeds into
part of its
saffron.
extensive root system is killed with the first application. Here's a healthy, untreated bindweed.
It's loose and bouncy.
And here's its next-door neighbor after treatment. The tops are killed.
All four
The
of them?
deep roots may later send up shoots, which should be treated again. Bitterweed,
Everything
which has taken over
sucks.
vast acreages of once good rangeland, is a menace to the livestock industry. 2,4-D proved its effectiveness in combating this noxious weed.
You want
which has
noxious?
caused untold
Bleh.
losses by poisoning sheep. These test plots show the marked contrast between sprayed and unsprayed bitterweed. Rice is also a very important crop in Texas.
The yellow
And
rice
one
of
the serious
Texas
weed
that
pests
I'm
in
gonna
rice
see.
is indigo. Part of a test field was sprayed with 2,4-D, and the rest of it left untreated. This shows the contrast between the untreated and the treated areas. The indigo weed in this plot is dead.
Murdered, and somebody's
The
responsible.
sprayed weed at the right is brown and beginning to rot. While these tests were conducted after flooding, other experiments showed that 2,4-D can best be applied shortly before flooding, when weeds are still small.
Death to small things!
In Louisiana, there are approximately 300,000 acres of sugar cane in cultivation, producing an average of 4,000 pounds of sugar per acre.
Toothaches as far as the eye can
Keeping sugarcane clear
see.
of weeds is vital to a profitable yield. One pernicious enemy of cane
Is the vermicious
alligator
canid.
weed. Notice the tall cane at the right, which has been treated with 2,4-D.
Dr. Livingston, we
The left
presume.
is smaller, showing the result of weed competition. Here, the cane at the right was sprayed with 2,4-D. The row at the left was not sprayed, and the weeds are flourishing.
Which ones are the weeds?
Weeds sprayed with 2,4-D don't often play return engagements. This field, for example, which was sprayed a year ago,
Is now a year
is
older.
still
Amazing, isn't
relatively
it?
free of alligator weed. Tests have shown that spraying with 2,4-D results in a greater yield than 3 good hoeings during the growing season.
Ho, ho, ho.
One of the most serious weed problems in Louisiana and other states in the South is the control of
Got a
water
little
hyacinth,
captain in
which is spread
you.
over thousands of miles of inland waterways, hampering navigation, destroying
Oh,
fish,
we got a spinner.
and ruining
Whee!
farm and recreation areas. This aquatic pest, the water hyacinth, spreads with almost incredible speed.
Oh,
Within
no.
15 years after a few of the beautiful plants had been introduced into this country from Venezuela, they had multiplied so alarmingly as to call
This
for a
one?
government survey on methods of control. They propagate from seeds as well as from shoots, and in warm weather will
Hey,
double
hey,
in
put it
area
down,
within
put it
30
down.
days. Thick, tangled mats of interlaced plants float on the water, blocking navigation and clogging drainage canals.
And causing hilarious
An acre of
pratfalls.
these mats contains something like 600,000 plants and weighs more than 100 tons. It is estimated that the annual damage done by water hyacinth in Louisiana alone is more than $1 million.
Which they tell me is a
Several
lot.
millions have been spent to date in mechanically controlling this weed pest. Crusher and shredder-type dredges are used to destroy the plant in navigable streams, but the destruction is only temporary. The plants grow back, and the cost of repeated mechanical treatment is high.
Hi.
Recently, the Louisiana State Department of Wildlife and Fisheries began experimenting with 2,4-D.
Which killed the
and
wildlife and
results
fish.
offer new hope in the battle for control. The plants in these treated areas are dying and will eventually sink to the bottom.
Taking the zombies with them.
Certain large areas of pest-ridden waterways can be treated from airplanes or power boats at a relatively low cost. Tests are continuing in all parts of the country, each one extending the list of victims for Dow's chemical weed killers.
The Dark Brotherhood is
Power companies, for
everywhere!
example, are experimenting with 2,4-D in eradicating many species of brush along power lines.
To stop kids from cleaning their
Here,
nails.
Without 2,4-D, weeds and young brush flourish uncontrolled. Sprouting woody plants soon grow to tree size and then must be cut down before they damage the overhead wire. This heavy brush is the result of only 1 year's growth.
Arch Hall Senior.
It makes the line inspector's frequent trips more
I
difficult.
am so lost.
Notice the difference in this treated area. After treatment
Roxy.
with Dow's Esteron 44, much of the brush is eliminated. Traveling throughout the plant structure and roots, this chemical weed killer leaves only shriveled leaves and pulpy, rotted
But don't
roots.
pick at it!
A single application of Esteron 44 to young suckers goes a long way toward their eradication.
But there's a sucker born every minute.
Here is poison ivy, a noxious woody plant that spreads rapidly. After a treatment with Esteron 44, poison ivy looks like this. Notice that the grass has not been damaged. Many woody species succumb to
Look,
treatment.
I'm Woody. Howdy, howdy,
Here's
howdy.
sumac, sycamore, locust, wild cherry,
It's all up to you.
sassafras. None of these look very healthy. If the brush has reached considerable height, it is best to first cut the plants down.
Yeah,
But it need
that
be
was my
done
foot.
only once, not every year or two, as has been necessary in the past. Spraying the stumps is a promising method of application to kill the root system.
Drink in
If
the
shoots
death,
appear
my
later, they should be
lovelies.
sprayed during their early growth period for complete eradication of the woody plants. Weeds have long been a problem on our nation's fine golf courses.
Most of them being the
After
owners.
2 years' usage, greenskeepers report excellent results with 2,4 Dow Weed Killer in clearing weeds from golf links and thereby improving the turf on fairways. Dandelions,
Put 'em
one
up,
of the
put
biggest
'em
nuisances to
up.
golfers and greenskeepers alike, are killed roots and all without harm to the turf. Dandelion, buckhorn, and plantain cannot resist 2,4-D.
Even though they know
10
it's bad
days
for
after
them.
treatment, most plants will be past any hope of recovery. This fair golfer is playing on a course that has not been treated.
In a dress she made
When her
herself.
ball rolls into a clover growth, it's very hard to see. Her temper can be ruffled, and her game is delayed while the ball hides in the clover blossoms.
Unbeknownst to her, her ball was stolen by Pikmin.
This young lady is more fortunate. Just before blossom time, the greenskeeper sprayed with 2,4-D.
In
Although the clover was not
blossom
eradicated,
time.
blossoming was stopped, and her ball shows up clearly against the green turf.
Oh wait, that's a mushroom.
The testing and experimentation goes on.
Hush, little
Here, a
plantains,
growth of
don't
bull
say
thistle
a
is sprayed
word.
with 2,4-D, while a portion is protected against the spray by a tarpaulin. Spot treatment of bull thistle
Hey,
or the
Rocky!
weed can be done without injury to clover. The difference, 2 months later, the sprayed plants are dead. Those which were protected are, of course, thriving nicely.
And plotting revenge.
The list of weeds which can be killed or controlled by Dow weed killers is virtually endless. Barnyard weeds such as burdock,
Gordon.
dog fennel and
Arf.
lamb's quarters, ragweed,
Da-na-na-na-na-na-na.
wolfweed,
Oh,
sow thistle, Canada thistle,
oh, Canada.
elderberry, which is particularly susceptible to 2,4-D, as can be seen in this test area. Whatever your weed problem, whether as a homeowner with a lawn and garden to maintain, a greenskeeper at a golf club, a farmer with hundreds of acres under cultivation,
Killing is
an
always the
operator of a
answer.
railroad, a sugar cane planter,
Or farmer.
or the operator of a public utility, Dow agricultural chemists have the answer.
Become a chemist. From seed to shining seed. Indictment? In consideration of the proven effective distribution of chemicals. Wait, was this a trial?
Were we the jury?
Not guilty! Not guilty! I can't live with death on my hands!
Yeah, well, they're just plants.
But still, death. It says so, right there. Death. I feel horrible. Shame on you, Jam Handy.
Hello, Cleveland!
This isn't Cleveland.
Oh. Hello, Hawaii!
Hawaii's another state, and we're not there either.
Hello, Kitty?
No.
Oh. Well, my name's Function, and I'm gonna sing a song. Karaoke! Okay, I'm good.
Didn't sound so good to me.
Well,
my co-host hasn't arrived yet, but I am here and I am pumped! Woo! The time is drawing near! The ball is almost falling! It's time! It's early time! It's early time! Yay!
Hi there!
Who are you?
I'm Humphrey, the Magical New Year's Bear, your co-host for the evening.
Zeppo, you never told me my co-host was a bear in a diaper!
Hi!
Don't you talk to me!
I'm still here! Humphrey, the Magical New Year's Bear!